It's me. What am I to do about it? And now the next one. Now that I know what's holding me back, what do I do about it? So I've realized, who's nobody? What's your hindrance? Now that I know what's hindering me, what am I to do about it? It's good. Huh? What am I to do about it?
Is this thing?
Yep, the circle. Yes. The little circle that we're working on. Our cycle map. Yeah, it looks just like that. Yours is big. She said mine's big. She's right. I love it.
I did a whole page.
She did. She did. Yep, whole page. I love it. Listen, perfect. All right, y'all ready? So let's pick up where we left off. We have the rich young ruler. He left sad. Other translations actually say that he went away sorrowful, he grieved, and was in much distress, or sorrowful and saddened. So, he knew what his hindrance was, but he chose not to do nothing about it, and so that led to what? Grief, sorrow, sadness. Some people are living in that state in their life of grievance, sorrow, and sadness. Why? Because I simply won't go. What? Well, y'all ain't got to open it up. That's the rich young ruler. That would have been Mark, right? Yeah. But you ain't got to open it up there. We're just talking about it. I'll tell you where else to go in a minute. So, again, repeat the last thing I said. Some of us are still in this place of sadness and sorrow. We are trying to follow Jesus, but all we seem to find ourselves in is grief, sadness, and sorrow. Why? Because I know the issue. I know what I'm supposed to do about it, but I don't want to. Jesus, you're challenging me in an area that I don't want to be challenged. So I know I said let me go, but I didn't mean go there. Right? And so why can't I just get out? You know, I hear that a lot. Kelsey, why can't I just get out of this feeling? Why can't I just get out of this sadness, out of this, place I'm in mentally? Why can't I just get out of this? Because the fact is you feel, but feelings are not facts. And because you are refusing to do what you're supposed to do. Not her say, ma'am. You are refusing to do what you know you should do. And so, we're going to talk about some things today. Like, we're even going to go into the gifts. I really want you to understand some of these things that the Bible has said are gifts. But I want to make no mistake. We are not going to read these gifts today and you can be like, I like that one, and that one. That is where God can use me. That is not how gifts work. Okay? I ain't telling you to pick out ones you like. You know what? I got an activity. We'll circle all the ones you like. You can write them all down. Then I'll be like, throw those in the trash can. That's a great activity. Y'all want more cards? I got plenty. Great. What ones do you like? Okay, throw those away. Okay? Because that's not what God's going to call you to do. Ask me how I know.
Amen.
Okay? I don't want to do these things. And then he says, here you go. And I'm like, really? And he's like, yep. And I'm like, oh, wow. Gosh, I'll go. Right? I'll do it. Even though I don't feel good at it, right?
Kicking and screaming.
Kicking and screaming, but I'm going to go. I might be stomping. I'm going. Just give me a second. You know, like, I'm going. Right? Then I just get on with it. And I'm like, fine. Might as well be joyful about it. Let's go. I turn from stomping to skipping, you know? Listen, so that's not what we're doing. So I want you to understand, you already know, I am a firm believer that when I'm teaching these things, you know what the issue is. And you know pretty quickly. Always. But you try to deny it the whole time I'm talking. And then you come up to, God, I just don't know. He told me one thing that I don't know if that's it. It is. Just skip. Skip this whole, it is. Write that down. Because you're trying to overcomplicate it and you want it to be something else. You want it to be something that you want to deal with. You don't want it to be something you want to avoid. And so that's why it immediately hits and you're like, I know what I need to do, but you don't want to. Just don't even bother asking me. The answer is yes. That's it. That's the thing. Okay? I'm a firm believer that God tells you. But I'm also a firm believer that you've acted like this whole time you ain't got an issue. So that's where it turns into a you and the Lord problem. I'm sorry, I can't help you. Right? I'm just being honest with you. So, when we do go over these things, I'm not asking you to pick out the ones you like. And you must deal with the other things we've talked about before you can act like you can walk in spiritual gifts. Because you cannot walk in areas that you think you can walk into without dealing with whatever it is. The Bible talks a lot about those things, like unforgiveness is one of them. It'll hinder you. Anger is one of them. All right? Anger is one of them. You can't lead people when you're like that. Dealing with the speck in your own eye before you try to call out other people's. All right? You got to deal with that first. What your hindrance is from session 2. You know, what is it that I think's keeping me from being useful for God? Material comforts, job occupation, family or friends, feelings. What is it? I want to mention that one too. Feelings can often keep you from doing what you're supposed to do because you want to feel good about something instead of want to face reality. All right? So feelings can be a big thing. I'm too led by my feelings. I'm a firm believer that you can't be led spiritually and by your feelings at the same time because your feelings will fail you. All right? Your feelings will tell you the lies about your situation. I'm not saying your feelings ain't valid. I'm not saying that you can't have them. And I'm saying God gave them to us, so at some point, those are good. I'm just also telling you that fact is we feel, but feelings are not facts. You cannot make decisions on your feelings. Otherwise, you'll make wrong decisions, right? And so, know all that before we go into this. The rich young ruler, he left sad. Again, when you do not face what God has asked you to face, you are going to feel sorrowful, sad, grieved. Wondering why you're not moving forward. But you chose to not deal with it. You chose to walk away. Okay? You chose to ignore it. I want to do something else that's more fun. Right? I'm just being honest. Now, the woman at the well, right? The moment that she recognized that he was the Messiah, dropped everything and went back to town. She laid down her shame. She laid down her guilt. And she went and told everybody about the transformation power of Jesus. Right? So, what's your decision? You going to drop it all and lay it all down? And actively quit living there. This ain't even part of my notes, but can we just talk about that real quick? Somebody tell me. Let's have a small discussion. And yes, this part's recorded, but they can't see you. So, what's it look like to actively not pick back up what you lay down? Do you know?
Acknowledge that you want to.
Huh?
First thing for me is acknowledging that I want to.
That you want to lay it down.
That I want, and then when I want to pick it back up, I gotta be real with myself and be like, you really want to go do that thing right now, and this is why you shouldn't do it.
Right.
Kind of like
So
a heart check.
yes, heart check every time you do want to do that. Yes.
Yeah.
I love that. And you got right to the point of what I was trying to get to. Because that's it. So many people think that I'm just going to lay this down. And I'm going to use my little note, but don't let me forget it. So, some people this is the thing, and I'm going to lay it down. And you think that you did, right? But then you think that just because you did this, that you think it's not going to come back here? Yes, it will. Give it 5 seconds. Or tomorrow. It's not going to be long. You're going to feel so good. I dropped that, I laid that down, I'm walking in the newness of Christ. Well, here's the thing. When you go to sleep, your body literally resets. And so that's why you wake up the next day why don't I feel like that anymore? Because your body resets. Duh. Every time that happens, you ever been in a fight with somebody, your spouse, or boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever you got, and then you go to sleep and you wake up and you're like, what was we fighting about again? Because your body reset and it just wasn't that big of a deal. And it blew up. You know what I'm saying? I do that all the time. What was we fighting about? Me and Steve are that's how funny our marriage is. I was the problem is I don't want to be with anybody else, and neither do you, so we just get mad at each other, and then we lay here mad. And then we wake up in the morning. What was we fighting about again? I don't know. Something you did. No, I think it was something you did. And then, listen, you wake up the next day, it's with everything. That's why momentum is no good, because it doesn't last. It only lasts for a second, right? And then it's on to the next thing. Your body resets. So, when your body has woken up the next day, you actively chose to lay this down. Your body wakes up the next day, but when you wake up, you're so used to the mundane task that you accidentally, that thing. And then you're like, oh, wait. And by the way, the representation of me picking it up is when it hits here. Yeah. It's not that you physically walked and picked it up. It's that You woke up the next day and all of a sudden your brain said, hey, we rewired back to factory setting. Remember, you're struggling with this. And that's when you say, actually, no, I'm not. I laid that down yesterday. See, that's what it looks like to spiritually win battles and to mentally win battles.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jesus.
That's what it looks like. You have to actively say, no, I chose to lay that down yesterday. And this is why the Bible teaches you about transforming your thoughts, is because until you decide to rewire it, they're going to look the same. How do you rewire something? One wire at a time. And sometimes you get them crossed and it might electrocute you a little bit. But then, ouch, that one's supposed to go there. Right? But that's what you have to do. And so to lay something down is not enough. You have to make a daily decision, which is why it says pick up your cross daily. It's a daily decision of I'm rewiring my brain again today. And here's the hope. When you do that enough times, you'll wake up one day and that thought won't be there terrorizing you anymore.
That's it.
But you got to keep doing it. Otherwise, it'll keep, as long as you allow it to terrorize you, it will. Do y'all get what I'm saying? So that's what that actively looks like. And that has to happen. So this woman, she has actively decided, this ain't no longer who I am. My spiritual transformation. Do you think that she just woke up every day from then on out and all of a sudden was like, well, I'm changed? No. She was still living with a man that she wasn't married to. Like, come on. Her shame and her guilt was still there. She decided to pick up something different every day. And she decided, instead of focusing on the shame and guilt, I'm going to put all that energy into telling people about Jesus. And then lots of people ended up becoming saved because of her. Lots of people entered the kingdom because of her. And she ended up becoming a saint, known in a lot of religions for what she did. Right? We should know her. By the way, you all become saints, by the way, when you come to know Jesus and you actually start doing the work that He's called you to do. You are called a saint. But she is, too. She done the work, and she's known for it. And she laid down her shame and her guilt. She made that daily decision, and she went out what God called her to do. That's what I'm asking you to do today, and not what I'm asking you to do, really. That's what God is asking you to do today. And every day from here out, right? And so, you see this. What she had, the reason that the rich young ruler left sad, the reason that the other ones were not ready because of other things, the reason that she experienced a transformation wasn't because she was simply a woman. It wasn't because there was anything special about her. It happened because she shifted her priorities after her encounter with Jesus. She had a priority shift. I'm no longer living that way. My priorities are shifted. She had a turning point, which I hope all of you will have this weekend. And she was offered a new beginning, and she stepped into it. And that meant that every single day she had to know, I'm choosing my new beginning. I'm choosing my new way. I'm not entertaining what's behind me because I can't plow looking back there. So she quit entertaining all of that behind her and looked at her future. You understand what I'm telling you? I hope so. I said the woman went to the well alone, head hanging down, but left with eagerness and excitement, head held high, as a woman ran back into the town with a questionable past, but a chosen nobody for the Messiah. Read that one more time, because that just sounded good. A woman who went to the well alone, head hanging down, but left with eagerness and excitement, head held high, as a woman ran back into a town with a questionable past, but as a chosen nobody for the Messiah. Amen. That opportunity is open to every one of you in this room. Every single one. But what I am very aware of is that there is lots of differences between all of us in this room, right? You have people who are directly holding on to something that they know that they need to deal with, and it's hindering them. And then you have people who are more mature in their faith, and maybe they don't have, that exact hinderness, right? They don't have the same as somebody else working through their feelings. They've learned that. They're on to the next thing, right? We're all in different paths. And so because of that, again, make it very clear. First, you have to deal with what's hindering you specifically. Jesus has met you with something. It is hindering you. He has made you aware of it, and you just don't want to hear it, so you've ignored Him. All right? You got to deal with that before you can move on to this next step I'm about to talk about. But it's still good for you to hear about this next step. Now, the next thing that we are going to talk about is I want to show you some spiritual gifts of what the Bible talks about as spiritual gifts. Because we be overlooking that, all right? You deal with what's hindering you from serving Christ, and then you figure out which way is he having me go? What has he called me to do? Our issue is that even though Scripture tells us a lot about spiritual gifts, we are so quick to think that the only spiritual gift that even exists is to be the teacher or the pastor or the preacher. And that is the biggest lie I've ever heard of in my life. Y'all, these people out here, these preachers, pastors, teachers, all of 1,500 of them are quitting every single month. This is not the only job that there is for the kingdom. There is so many other jobs for the kingdom. And I'm not talking about big and fancy. Let's go to Romans 12. Romans chapter 12. And I don't know, you might just want to write these down instead of turning to them, but then again, you might want to turn up to you. But we got a couple places we got to go. We got 1, 2, 3, 4. I think it's 4, or actually 5. 5 places that we're going to turn to. So it's up to you if you turn to all of them. The first one we're going to be in is Romans 12. And we're going to read verses 6 through 9, and it says this. 6 through 9 says this. Having gifts that differ according to the grace given to us, let us use them. Deal with what's hindering you, and now let's use these gifts. If prophesy, in preparation to our faith, if service, in our serving, so there's prophecy, serving. The one who teaches, so teaching. The one who extorts, in extort, how you say that word? How you say that word? Thank you. And the one who contributes, all right, in generosity. The one who leads with zeal. The one who does acts of mercy with cheerfulness. Do you see that? Acts of mercy? What? That's a gift. How many of you know that? Acts of mercy. Look at all. Let's read them all. Let love be genuine. Don't do what is evil. Hold fast to what is good. Look at that. So just from these couple of verses, we got, by the way, it says, let the gifts that differ according to the grace given to us. Now, we're all given the same grace, but we're given different things to help us in our different gifts. So you might think, well, why are you good at teaching and not me? Because that is one of the things that is given to me. Why are you good at praying and not me? Because that is one of the things given to me. Well, you know, everybody's willing to pray though, by the way. Everybody, you should be. Everybody should. That's a phone call with the Lord. Yep. All right? But there are certain people who just really, you know who they are. They got that gift of prayer. They speak and you be like, you opening your eyes thinking that y'all wasn't even on the ground anymore. Y'all's already in heaven. They done praised you right on in. Like you're like, woo, like you ready. Right? Like that's something I'm out there. I'd be like, listen at them. Right? Prayer's one. But know that. So you got prophecy. You got, let's see. Let me keep reading. You got service. Serving people is a gift. Some people are really good at serving people. That's a gift. Serving, teaching, contributes. You know, there are some people that have been given the gift of wealth so that they can contribute to ministries. Yeah. Do you know how important that is? But listen, somebody who's just always given money, that doesn't really sound like they ever say a word, does it? No. You got to say a word. You don't have to say a word to be a part of ministry. Sometimes you're in the background and you are offering what you have, what God has given you. Money, wealth can be a gift. And also, I love the one where it says generosity is a gift, leading is a gift, acts of service with cheerfulness, or acts of mercy with cheerfulness, a gift. All of these gifts focus on service-oriented gifts, right? It's all gifts in accordance to service. Just what kind of service are you going to do for people? So you could also write this down. What am I going to do for people? That's your service, right? Now that what are you going to do for people? How are you going to serve people? Right? If you're ever looking at, what am I going to do for the Lord? How am I supposed to walk forward? I'm stuck. I don't know what to do. I'm here with the Lord, but I don't know what my next step is. One simple question. Fix all that. How can you serve somebody today? That's it. You do that, you're doing it for the Lord. Right? How can I serve somebody? All right, so we got service. The next thing is 1 Corinthians. So let's go to 1 Corinthians. 1 Corinthians chapter 12. We got verses 4 through 11 and 28 through 30. 4 through 11. Now these are the varieties of gifts, but the same Spirit. Okay, so first we just seen different graces are given for the different gifts, depending on what you need to be able to use your gift. And now what do we see? We see the same Spirit is what gives these gifts. Well, you don't say. You know? Right? And then it tells us what they are. And the varieties of service, the same, but the same Lord. So, different things to do, different ways to serve, but the same Spirit and the same Lord that tells you to do them all. And gives you the ability to do them all. Remember, the verse we already talked about. Hold on, let me go back to it. Maybe. Got too many pieces of paper. It was the 2 Corinthians 12. But he said to me, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Same God working through each and every one of us in different ways, because we're all called to something different, right? Now, as we keep on, it says, but it's the same God who empowers them all and everyone. To each is given the manifestation of the Spirit for the common good. For to one is given through the Spirit utterance of wisdom. So wisdom is a gift. To another, the utterance of knowledge. Knowledge is a gift. According to the same Spirit. To another, faith. Having increasingly big faith is actually a gift. And by the way, you need a friend that has that faith. Because sometimes the things you're praying for will be answered because your friends have enough faith. And I'm not saying that you don't have faith. I'm saying you got some doubt smidged up on in there. So you need that friend that knows that God can tear down that wall. So that it will be done for you. Yep, because if you pray with doubt, it might not happen. Scripture says so. So when you pray and you got doubt involved, I'm just telling you what the Scripture says. Right? And so, you got those. Then you got, other gifts of healing. So the gift of healing, right? Working miracles, prophecy, ability to distinguish between spirits. That's discernment. Some people have a great gift of discernment. I'm 100% one of those people. I can walk in a room and be like, nope, see you later. And like we turn right around and walk out. If I've walked in and walked out, you should walk in and walk out. As my friend, if you choose to entertain that, you do you, but I'm out. Like, I cannot. I know the minute I'm somewhere, I said, take me home. Get me out of here. Don't you leave me here. I'm out. Right? Yes. That's a gift, right? There's a gift of tongues. There's a gift of interpretation of tongues. Listen, there are going to be some people that tell you that some of these gifts don't belong today. And I'm here to let you know that that's a lie. Because if you say that some of the gifts are gone, then how do you believe that teaching and all these other things still exist? That's right. I don't believe in that. Now, do I believe that anybody can misuse a gift? 100%, and they're doing it. And they're doing it with teaching, too. Teaching and prophecy and all kinds of stuff. They're misusing it. It's people. Allow people to be people. But just because they misuse it don't mean they ain't real. Because if you're trying to say that our God changed, then you're automatically going against Scripture because it says that He's unchanging. Right? And so make no mistake about that. They are all still active, alive, living through each and every one of us. It's just, are you bold enough to know that? Or do you only believe part of the word? That's up to you. Now these gifts, wisdom, knowledge, faith, healing, miracles, prophecy, discernment, tongues, and interpretation. It is roles. These gifts list roles that people take on to be able to serve Christ. Right? So again, you got wisdom, knowledge, faith, healing, miracles, prophecy, discernment, tongues, and interpretation. These are roles. Roles as teachers, roles as evangelists, roles as preachers, pastors. Right? Those are roles that can be taken. Now, you go to Ephesians chapter 4. And like I said, I can email you all these notes if you ain't in the mentorship or any of those things. I can email these to you so that you have them. You be like, she talks too fast. I can't write nothing down she say. That's what they always tell me. I know. Yeah. Listen, here we go again with my... Huh? Yeah. Yep.
So we have to realize that all these gifts need to bring glory to God,
Yes.
not yourself.
Yep.
And that the gifts are the gifts of the church,
Yep.
not yourself.
Yes. All of this is just for the glory of God. But you work through the process of which we've been talking about. I'm the nobody. Here's my hindrance. What do I do about it? Now I use these things. I figure out where I fit into the equation to go and do what God's called me to do. But not for self, but for glorifying the Lord. 100%. Now, Ephesians chapter 4, verse 11. Let me find. And he gave the apostles, the prophets, the evangelists, the shepherds, the teachers to equip the saints for the work of ministry, for building up the body of Christ, until we all obtain the unity of faith and of the knowledge of the Son of God to mature manhood. Let me see. Where's my gifts listed at right here? Listen, I should have highlighted all this, but I didn't. There it is. Go to verse 2. With all humility and gentleness, with patience, bearing one another in love, eager to maintain the unity of the Spirit in the bond of peace. I'm in chapter 4, verse 4, or we're at verse 4 right now. There is one body and one Spirit, just as you were called to the one hope that belongs to your call. One Lord, one faith, one baptism, one God and Father of all, who is over all, and through all and in all, but grace was given to each of us according to the measure of Christ's gift. Therefore it says, when he ascended on high, he led a host of captives, and he gave gifts to men. In saying he ascended, what does it mean? But that he has also descended into the lower regions, the earth. He who descended in the one who has ascended far above the heavens, that he might fill all things. And he gave the apostles, the prophets, the evangelists, the shepherds, the teachers, to equip the saints for the work of ministry, for building up the body of Christ, until we all obtain to the unity of the faith and of the knowledge of the Son of God, to mature manhood. So again, I'm just going to mention right here, the mature manhood, that means that this whole process is going to be a growth. You are going to grow into maturity. It's not something I get before I serve God. It's something that I serve God with and then I grow in. Right? Your maturity grows as you serve Christ in whatever area you're serving him in. 2, the measure of the stature of the fullness of Christ, so that we may no longer be children, tossed to and fro by the waves and carried about by every wind of doctrine, by human cunning, by craftiness and deceitful schemes. Now, we stop there. Watch this. What does it say you're going to be tossed to and fro by? Doctrine, human cunning, craftiness, and deceitful schemes. Right? When we start to serve Christ, we can expect these things to be presented unto us to get us off track. So I want to make no mistake that as we go over all this day, as we're talking about all this, and as you make a decision today, when you leave and you're going to be excited and you're, that momentum's high and you're going to go home and you're going to go to sleep and you're going to wake up tomorrow like, where did that go? You're going to have to remember that that's when you're going to be faced with these things, and you have to stand firm in your decision that you've made. Right? I cannot express that enough. Rather, speaking the truth in love, we are to grow up in every way into him who is the head, into Christ, from whom the whole body, joined and held together by every joint with which it is equipped, when each part is working properly, makes the body grow so that it builds itself up in love. You are a part of that body. Each and every one of you, with whatever spiritual gifts we talk about, with whatever it is that God is calling you, you are part of that body. What are you going to do about it? Right? And if one part of the body is sick, the whole body is sick. So what are you going to do with your part? Are you going to let your part just die and fall off and be sick? Are you going to do something about it? I hope that each and every one of you will do something about it. But again, did you notice that? So you're growing into mature manhood. You're growing up in every way. Do you see that? That's that process of maturity. I don't have to be perfect to serve God. I just got to serve God with all willingness, and then I will grow. Right? You're forgetting that part, that you're supposed to grow as you go, not grow then go. That's wrong. Grow as you go, not grow, then go. You do it in the process of it. Now, when you keep reading this, you're going to see all the other list of different things that are leadership gifts. They are leadership and equipping gifts. So you see the apostles, the prophets, the evangelists, the pastors, and the teachers, right? These are the gifts that are leadership gifts, right? And anybody can be a leader. Anybody can obtain these. All right? And you know what? This goes with sharing. I heard this one time, and I think it's very good. And I think there's so much truth to it. Whatever your gift is will be the very area of which you are attacked the most. And I believe that. Like, my voice gets attacked every time I go to speak anywhere. I'm a baby. I know at one point I told you I was a granny. Well, I am until it comes to taking medicine, and then I'm a baby. I buy children's ibuprofen, and that is what I take, and that's all I take. Okay? Can't help it. And so, anytime I go speak at places, I'm carrying my little children's ibuprofen. If y'all are ever around me and your kids need ibuprofen, I got you, because that's what I'm carrying. All right? Like, that's all I take. I have to carry it with me. Why? Every time I go to speak at any of these events, my mouth starts hurting, my throat starts hurting, everything starts happening to me in that sense. I'll be drinking tea, I'll be drinking water, I'll be eating honey like it ain't nobody's business, and I know that will happen every single time. Now, before I even walked into my gift, when I was 12 years old, I started smoking cigarettes. And I smoked cigarettes until I was 20-some years old. That attacked my voice. And then my voice has changed so much that when I did first start doing this, my whole voice changed. I lost my voice for 2 days, and it doesn't even sound the same. Because the moment that I started, and I know it's wrong, it's got the I don't know what they're called, but you can get these things on your vocal cords, and that's why my voice changed. And if I went and had that surgery and got them removed, my voice would go back to being the same sound that it used to have. But that's a really intense surgery, actually. But that is what happened to my voice. And all of that happened because I was smoking, and then all of a sudden I started using my voice a lot. Singers get them, speakers get them, all of these things. My voice, the minute I started using it, started being attacked. And it was attacked, though, way before then because I was already smoking at a young age. Presented to me, and I didn't even want to do that. I told my grandma how gross that was, and I was never going to do that. And then here I go, doing that. Right? Like, y'all tired now. Y'all got to hear me. Y'all wait. I'm going to have to make y'all do 5 jumping jacks. He will attack the very thing that God desires for you to use, whether it be your voice or your, hands? Yes. Lori uses her hands to serve the homeless. And she started having arthritis, and everything started acting up in like all of her body, really, to keep her from going out there. So he will attack, and he probably has been a long time. But you just never thought it was significant. So account on that. Like, look back at your life. Then you go to the next. 1 Peter 4, 10 through 11. I'm not even going to turn there, but I am going to tell you. This speaks, so it summarizes gifts into 2 main categories. Speaking gift and ministering gifts. All of these should only be used for the glory of God. Notice it's saying, don't do it in your own will or power, but in God's. God's word, God's strength. God isn't asking you to be a perfectionist. He's asking you to let him lead. So he wants to use you. He wants to use you in the gifts he's given you. But you have to realize that there's nothing in you that could use that gift correctly. There's nothing in you that could use it correctly, and therefore, he wants to use this in you. It's something he gave you. It's amazing. You probably possessed it all your life and just didn't even know it. And then one day when he calls you to walk into it, right? You've got to let him lead in it. And again, that goes back to your hindrances. The only reason you're not letting him lead is because you are hindered by this thing, and he's trying to pull it out of you, but you want to be a perfectionist, and you want to be in control. Right? Now, there's one more. Titus 3. Some people are going to say, as Dina had mentioned earlier, that maybe you're believing the lie that you're too old. You know, God can't use me, I'm too old. I I've done lived too long, and I ain't done this and that, and so I'm too old. And I'm here to let you know that even being an older woman, you are called to, in Titus, it lets us know that these older women were actually called to encourage the younger woman and to show them how to live. So you can't ever be too old because you're supposed to train those beneath you. You're supposed to be actively training those beneath you. And listen, yes, this can be for older women, this can be for middle women, right? It can be for all of them. Any and every, we all have something to learn from one another. But everybody is over somebody, I'm highly convinced. Even if all you have is your home, you're over somebody. You have kids, you're raising grandkids. Well, not me, Kelsey. My kids are grown. You have grandkids. You have children at church. Everybody has somebody that they're coming into contact with to be able to teach, to be able to show and implement their wisdom. And so, this brings us back to our paper. Let me give you something to do so you'll wake up. Everybody still got their cards? Cards. We ain't got there yet. Hold on. Get your cards out. On the front, you wrote all the reasons God can't use you. Everything that's hindering you, everything you're struggling with. On the back, I want you to flip it over. And you're going to write, but God can use me. Tell me when you get that done. But God can use me because, and you're going to list your because. Is there a gift, a burden, or a passion that you know is inside of you that God wants to use? Is there something you care deeply about? Is there something you have felt drawn to? Or is there something that people come to you for? I'm going to give you a couple minutes. Says you got to think about it. What is it? God can use me because. Is there a burden? I'll give you an example. When I did actually first start our ministry, I didn't mean for it to be a ministry. I sure didn't. I felt really sad and burdened. I heard somebody say, find something that breaks your heart and then do a lot of that. And that really stuck with me. And for me, that was people out here really don't want to live. There are people out here living that really don't want to live. And that hurt my heart. And so, I can't solve that. You can't solve that. So I only came to one conclusion. There's only one person that can fix that. And that's Jesus Christ. And so I started journaling and sharing it. And I started, what can I do about this? I can share Jesus with people because he's the only one who can heal that in them. That was the burden on my heart. Maybe as we've went through these gifts, you've noticed something that you're good at. Accounting, serving. Maybe you're good at compassion, mercy. What are you good at? Maybe you're like, okay, this is it. God's pointing this out to me today. This is where he can use me. Or maybe it's something that you just care deeply about or you feel drawn to. Well, I really feel drawn right now to serve in the children's ministry or in the women's ministry, or I do this at church or do that. Is there something you've been drawn to? Or last but not least, is there something people come to you for? Y'all, when I started all this, I didn't ask for all this, which is part of the reason why I never feel qualified to do it. Because I didn't ask to do all this. I didn't ask to learn the scripture. I didn't ask to start teaching people how to journal. I didn't ask for any of that. But they started coming to me for it. I walked into my calling because people asked me to. I had no clue what I was doing. They said, start that mentorship thing. I said, start what? You want to pay me, give you my notes. Yeah. Y'all are weird. Okay, let's do it. You know? And then they said, okay, give us this too. We want this. What? Why do you want that? We didn't do coffee talk all the time like this. You want what? I wasn't going to do it. And they said, you should do coffee talks. I said, I don't think I'll be doing that. Steve said, oh, yes, you are. I said, I don't think so. You go do it. He said, no, you're going to do it. He said, they didn't ask me, they asked you. I said, I don't want to. He said, I don't care. And then he started buying all the equipment. Like, dude, he bought everything. All the equipment I have is because Steve bought it. So if you're ever really glad that you can hear me because of microphones and stuff, you might as well thank Steve, because I didn't realize I even needed that. I was going to just not have it, and he'd just show up. Right? So what is that? I'm going to give you a couple minutes. Account for that. Write it down. But God can use me because. Right?
Did you ever wonder how people were coming to you when you wasn't like teaching and stuff?
Did I? Yeah.
They're like, why are you,
Show did.
why are you coming in? I don't have that window on my forehead.
Yeah, and yes, yes. And, you know, it kind of goes back to the Leah was like, I don't know enough. All this stuff that I know today, I did not know when I started. People just have that wrong. You might meet me in the middle of this and be like, gosh, she's so knowledgeable. She knows all these things. You know, and I mean, and I do know these things, but I didn't when I started. I grew into maturehood. I did not know all this, but here was the thing. I was simply willing to say when somebody would ask me a question, if I didn't know it, I'd say, give me 1 second, I'm going to find it out. And then I would look it up. I would look it up in Scripture. I would study on it. I'd say, give me 24 hours, I'm going to get back at you. And now I don't got to do that anymore because I know. Because I've already looked it up so many times because y'all be coming with the same questions over and over. I'm serious. I'd be like, I got this one, I got this one. Mark, hold on. And I just go to it. I'm for real. Like, so, I grew in this position. I mean, I didn't even think that when I first started hosting conferences and stuff, I never got invited to go anywhere. I hosted my first one by myself. I said, I'm going to host a conference. And Steve said, that is not a good idea. I said, well, we're doing it. He said, ain't nobody coming for that. I said, we'll see. You see, like, that's our whole thing. We'll see. Look, you knew that. Like, he was like, ain't nobody coming to this. I said, yes, they is. They is. And they did. And it's the 4th year that we've done it this year. So they still coming, right? But from that, that's when my speaking started. Somebody else invited me, and then I went there, and somebody else invited me. All because I listened in one thing. That's when it started happening. And now, last year I traveled 6 months out of the year, and this month is more than that. But I didn't know any of this when I started. I was just somebody willing to learn it. And you see it here, and so you compare it to here, but that's not how it started. And yes, when they started, I'm like, I don't know any of this. I don't know why y'all coming to me. But they did. What the Lord had in me, they seen. And so God used people to pull it out of me. And He'll do the same.
It's the very thing that I feel like I struggle with the most. People come to me and ask me to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not no good at that.
Exactly. Oh, but God can use me because people come to me for this.
If you do it, you're good. If you keep coming.
They keep coming. You can't even beat them on the stick after that, boy. You better be careful. Can't even get them to leave you alone, huh? Love it. Yes. Everybody got it wrote down? You flipped it on the back, you wrote it down, y'all think y'all good? Yeah? All right. I do want to take a moment. Let's see. I just got a little bit more. But I do want to ask this question, again, when it's a group of people like this. I like being able to discuss things. And so, is there anybody in this room who does want to share what they wrote on the front, why they feel like nobody, and the one thing that they believe, what they said on the back? But God can use me because. Is there anybody who wants to share that? And you don't have to, because I know some people are going, I'm not telling anybody. No, I'm telling. But I want to let you know there's power in sharing. There is so much power in exposing what's been holding you captive, because once you expose it, it's brought to the light, and it's no longer in darkness. And so it will happen. So you don't have to, but is there anybody who wants to? Huh? You want to share? Okay.
One of my things that I put on the front was, the reasons or excuses I tell myself is no one knows me.
Yep.
But God can use me because I am gifted with gathering people together and inviting.
Yes. I love that. Her thing is nobody knows me. Do y'all see that connection? Nobody knows me, but then her gift is gathering people together. She's got to be known, what? Because people gather. I love that. Do you see the connection? I love that.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Uh-huh.
He always asks me, Mom, why do you just say hey friend to everybody? And I said, a person is just a friend, you don't know their first name yet.
Yeah. I call everybody friend.
Yeah, it's just
So did Jesus. He sure did. That's why I call people friend. Because Jesus called them friend. Everybody was his friend. Everybody's my friend because I belong to him who is everybody's friend. And that's why I call everybody friend. So yes, I love that. This is my connection. I'm nobody, but I'm really good at gathering people together. I love that. I love the Lord. That is so
It's
good.
really funny because when I'm actually the one that gets invited to, like Candace invited me
Yes.
to women's, or Belinda to the other women's conference, I'm like, I got invited.
Mm-hmm.
Because I just invite because I just invite, but
Yeah. I love that.
that's funny.
Anybody else? No one's good. I'll tell you again, if you don't want to share, it's fine, but I'm letting you know. You want to change it, sharing it.
A lot of people might feel like that too, like, where do I feel overlooked? And I said, with my family, because some issues with my kids, I feel like I'm a failure to them.
Yeah.
Maybe I wasn't a good mother to them. And I look at myself like, how can I ever be a role model? But then on the other side says, but God can use me because I do have compassion for others. I
Yeah.
do have a heart for others. And
Yeah.
I sometimes think that the kids don't see that all the time.
Yeah. I love that. Overthinking? Yeah. Yeah. Because, you know, any time is a opportunity to be different than you are tomorrow. Even if you already have raised your kids. A lot of people come to me about that. They've already raised their kids, and maybe they didn't raise their kids in the way that they wish they would have. And so, but now they're living a life that their kids never got to see.
Exactly.
You know, and they're like, man, but it's not too late to show your kids what God can do in the transformation. And yes, your kids may be older, but that doesn't mean that you quit doing things together, right? Like you can continue to be that voice in their life. Like me and my mom do things together every quarter. We go do something. We love going to Tanger outlets. Why everything we do involves spending money, I'm unsure. But that is what we have in common. So like we go do it. We love it. We go to Tanger and we have fun and we just spend that time together, right? So it's never too late to change the direction because you're still the mother. And life may be different, but you still have that role. And so that compassion is a big thing. Yes, I love that.
We have learned a lot driving to Tanger about what we see out on the highway.
We have. We do have very good times. We laugh. It's so funny. I can't. The stories we can tell, but we're not gonna. But we could. Oh, man. Anybody else want to share? Why, your front and the
I'll
back.
share.
Okay.
So my thing is, I don't do well in crowds or with people. I mean, I do in a small setting, but in a big setting, I'm awkward.
Mhm.
And every time there's hospitality things going on, I'm the first person they call. And
Yep.
that's where I'm at.
Yeah. I love that. And I just want to encourage you in that. It's very easy to compare, like, your small, group settings. Like, say you're good at small group settings.
Yep.
That's an asset, not a hindrance. So that's another thing for each of you. You might think what's a hindrance to you is actually an asset. Because, and even the being shy, right? Because I can do well in a big crowd.
Yeah.
I do better work in smalls. Because when God called big armies, he always started with a bunch. And he always at least cut them in half, if not down even further.
That's right.
You do more with small groups than you do with large numbers. Smaller numbers makes more disciples. And that's one of the reasons why churches struggle. Because churches have become so big on Sunday morning that discipleship is lacking. Right, there's no connection. Discipleship is lacking. So what you think is a hindrance is actually an asset, because being in a small group allows you to be more intimate. It allows you to actually get to know these people. It allows you to hold them accountable. It allows y'all to grow in discipleship together. So that's actually a good thing. So also know that something that you think might be hindering you is actually a really big asset. Because again, I spoke in some big rooms, but I've done the best work in small ones.
Small groups.
Because God makes it smaller to make more progress, to be quite honest. Because I can hold you accountable for what you've told me. You say, oh, Kelsey, I'm going to go do this. Oh, Kelsey, I'm going to do that. Well, here I'm calling, hey, you done that thing yet? And they're like, oh, man, I thought she was going to forget. No, not me. I file it all away. I didn't forget, But if I was in a humongous group, I couldn't even get to know you like that. I have been in big rooms where these people really like wanted to meet me and never even came and talked to me because they couldn't get to me. I don't like that. I do not like that. That is one of the biggest things that makes us a lot different at Purpose Hope, because a lot of people, you ever went to a big women's conference? You go to these big women's conferences, and I love them, by the way. They serve their purpose. So everybody is playing a part of the body, right? And that's what they're playing. But you'll go, and you might mingle with your table, but you only see the speakers when they're speaking. And then they're gone. And you're like, where'd they go? You can't find them. They hiding from you. But it's not that. It's that it's so big. They couldn't possibly know all of you. That's why small group settings, they can. And that's what I love. I don't care how big the group gets. I invite everybody. But whether or not they will engage in that depends on how much time they're willing to give, because there's so many people. Yes. Okay, thank you. But yeah, like that is, so it is the very thing that you think might be a hindrance actually might not be. Speaking in that, what you wrote, you need to take advantage of that. And you need to start gathering small groups together. Because if you can gather 10 and each of the 10 breaks off and does something individually, you have reached 10 times 2 times 2. Like it's just going to keep going.
Yeah.
It's actually 10 times 10. Because you got 10 people and they went out into 10 different directions, and if they all had 10, then times 10 again. Do you realize how far that reach could go? That's all it takes. That's it. And then you've actually got all these people have got to know each other. So now they're calling and holding each other accountable. Right? I like it. It's good. Anybody else? Yes. I'm talking to you.
So, I know we was talking about things that we're not qualified, that makes you not qualified, and we said about what's capable of you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And this goes back to showing the door, and I think as I said, being selfish, because there's times when I'm about to sleep, instead of get up and watch coffee talk, or talk about it later, and in food, I choose to eat unhealthy food,
Yeah.
and I know that's not what he wants me to do, because practically honestly, I won't be around to do the things I still do.
Yeah.
So on the other side, I said, God can use me because I love helping others, I'm a good caregiver, very compassionate, I've always been restrained.
Yep.
That I didn't know was going to turn into that. I just thought I was going to be to help me with somebody.
Yep.
I'm really good at encouraging others to help me involved. If somebody wants that, I kill people with kindness because they can be so bad at me, but I'm still nice to them.
Yeah.
Because, I know I can make people feel good. And I pray.
Yep.
Don't always be.
Yep. I love that. So good. All right. I want to show you something. This is where you go back to Esther, and I do need you to open up. Go back to Esther, chapter 4. Don't y'all like how I make it a full circle and I just wrap it all the way around? I didn't do that. The Lord did it, but I'm just saying. It's my favorite part, though. Got to get that in there somewhere.
So in that, finishing our circle.
Yes. Hold on.
Go babe.
All right. We're going to Esther chapter 4. We're not exactly finished. Don't write in your circle yet. I'll tell you when. Okay. Have it ready, but not yet. Not yet. Calm down. All right. All right. We go back to Esther for a moment. I want to show you something. I want to take you to Esther chapter 4, verse 14. How many of you know that verse? Do you know the verse? You should. It's very, very popular.
Okay, such a time as this.
All right. And that's the part that everybody knows.
That's it.
That's it. Perhaps you were created, or what perhaps you were made for such a time as this. You see it on coffee cups. You see it everywhere. I got a short story. I read this whole book months ago. And I said, Lord, what's the one thing? And that verse is what he brought out to me. And I thought, Lord, I don't want to. That's the verse everybody knows. I want something special. Me and you. I talk to the Lord like that. I do. I want, man, we got a relationship. I want something special, Lord. And he was trying to give it to me, and he was literally like, you big dummy. Like, because watch. All right? I'm being serious. He gave me that verse, and I'm like, I don't want that verse. Lord, everybody knows that verse. I want something else. Well, and then my friend reads it. And he gives her that verse too. And I'm like, this is really getting on my nerves, so I don't want that verse. Everybody know that verse. But now, I know why he told me so long ago. Still don't have a clue what it means. So I'm putting the clues together. But I know what he wasn't trying to give me the same verse that everybody knew. He was trying to tell me the part of the verse that everybody leaves out.
All the time.
All the time. He was trying to tell me the part of the verse. That is not the verse. Esther 4:14, it's not perhaps you were created for such a time as this. As a matter of fact, it says this. It's a whole thing, all by itself. It says, for if you keep silent at this time, I'm going to read the whole thing, but then we're going to break it down. Relief and deliverance will rise for the Jews from another place, but you and your father's house will perish. And who knows whether you have not come to a kingdom for such a time as this. That is the whole verse. And let's go back. Let's look at this. For if you keep silent at this time. This is an invitation. God is inviting each and every one of you to have a part in his kingdom. Each and every one of you to do a work for him. Each and every one of you is on assignment. The question is, will you remain silent? You can. You can totally choose to remain silent. As a matter of fact, a small hand full of people is the only ones that was even willing to share their faith. You can choose to remain silent here. But watch this, there's a consequence for remaining silent. Did you see that? That ain't the only thing. Watch it, but yes, her family would perish. But that, hold on, before we get to that, relief and deliverance will rise for the Jews from another place. So the question, do you want to be used or not? That's what we're getting down to. Okay, I'm going to tell you to add something really quick, because if I don't tell you, I'm going to forget. Go back to your circle. And this ain't the only thing, but this is going to be part of the fourth place.
So kind of like right here.
It will be on the fourth place. You'll just write two things there. But it will be in that fourth position. So will I go? So will I go? Deliverance for the Jews would have always happened. God was going to take care and deliver his people. But was she going to be a part of it? That was the question. God is going to always fulfill his plan. He is going to do what he said he will. He will send somebody. He will do what needs to be done. The question is, will you be a part of it? Will you go? You better also know that there's a consequence if you say no. Listen, and sometimes those consequences looks like being thrown around in life. I promise you right now, you will never be at peace in this life if you do not do what Christ has called you to do. Peace comes by doing his assignment, not by doing whatever you want to do. By the way, you'll just mess it all up. Ask me how, I know. But if I let him take over, it's amazing. Deliverance would always come. She could remain silent if she wanted to, but if she did, her family would perish. He said, but if you deny the help right here, your family will perish. The Jews will be saved, but your family, done. Because you chose to stay silent. Hey, I got a question. That's not even part of my notes, but how many of your family members ain't going to heaven because you ain't asked? How many of your family members are really going to perish, and they're going to perish in hell because you didn't tell them? And you're just gonna, when you stand before the Lord and He asks you, you're gonna say, well, I invited them to Christmas, and I invited them to Thanksgiving, and I invited them to all this. And He say, yeah, you invited them, but you never shared my name. You didn't even ask them to bow their head and pray. You conformed to them when they walked into your house. How many are gonna perish because you wouldn't open your mouth? And not even just your family. How many other friends will perish because you didn't open your mouth? How many people do you think you encounter on a daily basis that will perish even though they had an encounter with Satan and Jesus because you stayed silent? It boils down to that. The consequence was death. But then it says, and who knows whether you have not come to the kingdom for such a time as this. He said, this is your assignment. Will you stay silent or will you speak up? That's some good stuff. I'm just going to let you know. Right? I let y'all sleep all day until the end. I'm like, boom. You know? Put it up for that. Listen. The question isn't, are you called to do something for God? The question is, will you do what God has called you to do? The question isn't, am I really called? The question is, will you go? That's the question. You are called by God, but do you truly want to be a part of it? Now remember Matthew 28. It's the Great Commission. He tells you all to go. Make disciples, baptize, tell them about me, and I will be with you until the end of this age. They be leaving that part off of it too. Why do they always leave the good parts off when they try to post stuff? I'm like, read the end. Like, come on, that one too. I will always be with you is all they ever say. I'm like, until the end of this age, come on, like go, like forever, all the time. So important, don't leave it off. You're never going at it alone. So I want you to do something else for me, and this is the part that I was most excited for. On your card. On your card. Yes. Well, that's what you was just supposed to write. I asked, the question is, will you go?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then it'd be the Matthew 28.
Oh, okay.
Go. Right? Will
Okay.
you go?
Matthew 28. Got it.
Yep. Will you go? That's your last box. So your box should, can I see your box? I won't read all your stuff. Okay, so it should look like, who is nobody? When you realize it's you, what's next? Now that I know what's holding me back, what do I do about it? So will I go? Right? Will I go? I know, so I am nobody. It's me. Lord, what's holding me back? Okay, you tell me. I'm going to deal with this thing. I'm going to go. Because you can also go through this whole process and say, no, I won't go. You realize that? Like you can say, who's nobody? Well, it's me. I'm going to identify that. What's next? Oh, man, you mean I got to deal with that? No, thank you. A lot of people cut off the cycle right here. They don't want to deal with it. Or they might even get to the next. Okay, I now know what's holding me back. What do I do about it? Oh, I got to go and figure all this out, and I got to go and actually do what God's called me to do. I got to go serve in the church, or I got to go serve this way or do this. Oh, I don't want to do that. So again, you've cut the cycle off. Or you can say, so will I go? Yes, I sure will. I will go. Or to be, nope, not going, not doing that. And again, you broke the cycle. But if you will continue to walk in this cycle, you'll continue the process of maturehood, getting more and more mature every time that you go and do. Because He always asks you to be doing something different. You do it, you go through that whole process, well, then He asks you to do something new. And then you go through that whole process, and then He asks you to do something new. And then you go through that whole process. It's a process of growth. And it will repeat over and over and over again. On your card, where you wrote why God can use you, but God can use me because, I also want you to write down one thing. I want you to write down one clear action item to do from here. A place you will go, a person you will reach, or a step you will take. What is one clear thing you will do from here?
Say it one more time. Person you will
What is a place you'll go, or a person you'll reach, or a step you will take? I want you to write down an action item. You can't say you didn't have something to do when you left here. The question is will you go? Will you do it? What's one action item? How many songs did you say? Okay. Can you?
But I said,
You want me to cut it off? We're done. I'll cut it off.